If I ever had to evacuate my home, there's only really one possession that I'd want to save. It's this simple book. Over the last 10 years, every international student who has stayed in my home has written something in these pages. There are notes, photos, drawings, notes in other languages that still make me smile. Funny thing is, I never started hosting students because I wanted a book like this. I started because I needed another source of income. 10 years ago, life looked very different. My husband was living in long-term care and I needed more income. Thanks to some chats with Ella at the nursing home, I made the difficult decision to sell our rural family home and to move into the city, buying a house that was on a convenient bus route so that I could take in international students. On June 16th, I took possession of the house. On July 1st, I welcomed my first 3 international students. Amanda from Brazil, Natalia from Mexico, and Jennifer from Taiwan. I think all of us were a little nervous. I know I was. I had no idea that those 3 arrivals would begin a journey that would reshape my life. When I attended the first host orientation, another experienced host shared some information with me. She said, "Be sure to have the students leave a note for you." I thought that was a wonderful idea. So beginning from the very first student, I've had almost every international student write something in this book for me before they return home. There are messages, recipes, photos, flags from many countries. It's all in here. So awesome. I'd love to share a few with you. Here's one from Emma. Emma was a young student from China, and she wrote, "Thank you for cooking for us. Thank you for taking us shopping. And thank you for teaching us so many things we can't learn in school." That last one really has stuck with me. Another student wrote, "While staying in your home, I was very comfortable and never lonely. Imagine being so far from home and yet simply feeling not lonely." And another one wrote this, "Everyone who stops in our house becomes our friends." I don't think I could receive a higher compliment than that. I started hosting because I needed additional income. But somewhere along the way, it became about more than income. The students gave me as much as I gave them, and maybe more. I've watched students perform many of their firsts here. Their first toboggan ride. The first time they've chosen a real Christmas tree and decorated it. The first time they've carved a pumpkin into a jack-o'-lantern. The first Thanksgiving turkey, a whole one fresh from the oven. Trips to the beach, drives in the country, watching maple syrup being made. More than once I've heard, "That was the best day ever." Those are the moments that fill this book. And there was someone else who welcomed every student. My border collie, Molly. The moment a new student arrived at the front door, Molly would grab her favorite ball and hope that someone would throw it. But when the suitcases came out at the end of their stay, she somehow knew. She'd lay down quietly and watch, as if she understood that another friend was leaving. Reading these pages over and over again, Molly's name is mentioned. There are pictures of her all over the world. The students loved her, and she loved them. As I celebrate 10 years of hosting, I've welcomed women from all over the world. Many people imagine that international students are only teenagers. I've certainly hosted many wonderful young women, but I've also hosted women in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and even 3 in their 50s. Can you imagine traveling to another country in your 50s to learn another language? That courage inspires me. When people hear that I host international students, they usually ask the same questions. How many students do you have? When I bought the house, it had 3 bedrooms with a bathroom that the students could share. Later, I added 2 more in the basement. So it varies how many students I have at a time, and usually it's 3 or 4. Another question that people ask me is, what countries have these students come from? There have been 14 at least. I think there might be another one that I'm forgetting, and I'm sorry if it's you and you're listening. But the countries I've hosted in my home, I know for sure, are China, Korea, Japan, Taiwan, Russia, Azerbaijan, Spain, Switzerland, Colombia, Brazil, Mexico, Panama, Saudi Arabia, and a couple of Canadians. Another question people ask is, do you keep in touch with the students who've stayed with you? And yes, that's what I love about this digital world. It's so easy to keep in contact with many of the students. Some actually have stayed and are in the city, and I see them quite regularly. That's awesome. Others I've gone to visit. In 2023, I went to Japan and Korea and had an amazing time and was able to touch base with 4 of the girls who have stayed with me. So that was a real pleasure and delight. Then people want to know, do I cook all the meals? Well, I do provide 3 meals a day for students. So the way it usually works is I find that the meal that's the most different for people of different countries is breakfast. Some people like to eat rice for breakfast. Some people like toast and eggs. Some people just like coffee. Some people like nothing. So the way we do it in my home is you make breakfast for yourself. The students have access to the fridge and the pantry. So whenever they're hungry, they can have something to eat. So they make their own breakfast. They pack a lunch. That's their responsibility. They can make a sandwich, or they can take leftovers if there are any. And then we have dinner together. So unless someone's working or has a late class or something, we eat dinner together. I cook it usually. And if someone can't make it home for dinner, we can save them a plate. And sometimes I get blessed by a student who says, "Can I make dinner tonight?" And I say, "Of course you can." We're fortunate to enjoy meals from other cultures. That's always a treat. Another question is, how do you find the students? Where do you get them from? So I started with one school, and then I've added other agencies and schools onto that. I host for language schools, for Fanshawe College, for University of Western Ontario. Really, any female student who needs room and board and can follow a few simple rules is welcome. I think these questions really deserve a video of their own. When I look through the pages of this book, I don't see words. I see courage and friendship, growth and potential, life lessons learned, and goodbye hugs. Lives that have crossed mine for a season, and in many cases, a lifetime. I thank God for each student who has walked through my front door. And I thank the host who encouraged me to start this book 10 years ago. What a gift that advice turned out to be. Sometimes people ask me if I would recommend becoming a homestay host. My answer is this. If you're only looking for extra income, there might be an easier way. But if you're looking for a way to open your home, share your story, learn something about the world, and perhaps become part of someone else's story, then yes, I would recommend it with all my heart. You know, these students came into my life because I needed extra income. I never imagined that they would become my international family. And as I build my online income streams today, that's still what I'm looking for. Not just income, but purpose, meaning, relationships, and the chance to make a difference. Because after 10 years of hosting, I've learned something that I'll never forget. Sometimes the greatest return on your investment isn't measured in dollars. It's measured in the lives we touch. Thank you for being a part of my story.